Good morning, folks, and welcome to my channel. I have discussed about three things earlier. One is the set, map, and the list. And today we will be continuing in addition to that video, and we will discover more about, querying the statements. How can we use query in the programming at the same time when we are creating a list? So we created list with help of integer and primitive data type. Today we will be using something called s object. So I'll create one list of s object, which is account acc list equal to new list of account. So this is an empty list of account that I have created, and you would see that the account is the s object, which is the standard object of Salesforce, and acc list is the instance that I have created. The same instance will be utilized in the next line as well. So this is completely empty, and we will be adding some of the records to this acc list. How? That I'm going to show you. So acc list equal to you might have queried earlier. Okay, so if we query this thing from account limit, I'll give 4. Okay, acc list is something that I'm using, which is the instance, and I'm using this as a query over here. So id and the name are the two parameters which will be holding the values, and it will only have 4 initial accounts that it is going to query, and all those initial records are going to get saved in the acc list. Let me save this thing. It is throwing an error. What is okay? Yep, this is cool now. Okay, so now this is the empty list that I declared, and then the acc list now will have the values. So the list is not empty anymore. It will be having at least 4 values. We just want to show you the 4 values. For that reason, I'm using the debug statement, and the values are, if I just had acc list over here, then I'll control S this thing and then try to execute the statement. Cool. Open execute anonymous window, and Apollo test is the same class name that we're using here, and stand method is the method that I have declared here. So we are calling through the class the method that we have declared, and we are able to do this because it's the static method, and whenever there's a static method, you can call it from the execute anonymous using the class name, and it is just not applicable for the method. If the variable is also static, then also you can call the variable which is static using the class name. Now this is okay. We need to execute this statement, and we'll check what are the values for the acc list. If you hit on the debug log only, then you would see there are around 4 records that we have: id, name orient, id, and the name edge communications. And the third that we have is the id, name is Burlington Textiles, and then we have id, and then we have Pyramid Construction. So these are 4 things that we have got after querying this particular statement. Now there is certain thing that I would want to explain you, like we can have the same names. Okay, like the name, account name can be, say, for Charlesburg. Okay, and this is account name 1, and we can have another account name as Charlesburg. Okay, so you see the both are having the same name. The only thing which is different between both of them will be the id. Okay, so we do not want the names, we want to understand the ids. In that scenario, we will try to use some other thing other than list, because list will have duplicate records also. It have the same name, but it will always give me all the names. If I want names for all the account, if I want the list of names, then it will give me Charlesburg more than twice, which I would be kind of confused. So for that reason, I would want to put them into a set, where as you know, the set functionality, the set of id, I will try to put an acc id. Then we have set of ID over here. Okay, so now the set will help us understand if we are having the unique IDs, and it will of course give us the unique IDs. That's the reason, that's the speciality of set, that it does not gives you duplicate record. I have used ACC ID as an instance for the set ID over here, and I don't need this for now, this line. I will be using a for loop and try to loop all those ID and name one by one from the ACC list and put it into some place. Like I'll show you, this is the for loop that I'm using on the account object. So account is having an ACC, this is another instance that I'm using, and it will be querying, it will be, sorry, account ACC, it will be like we have the instance ACC, and we are using ACC list over here because the list will have all those ID and name. The 4 records that you just have seen all are present inside ACC. So for that reason, we are going to use the for loop and go through each one of those ID and name one by one, and ACC will be holding the values for ID one by one from the ACC list. How? I'm telling you that. So for account ACC list we are having, and we will be adding, since set is there, we will be adding to the particular instance. So ACC ID dot add this ACC, this one dot add ACC dot ID. Okay, so what happened is, like, we have added the ACC of ID, like ID will be coming from ACC list. So the ACC list is holding ID name, ID name, and ID name, and I think the 4 limits are there. There are 4 different ID and names which are holded by the which ACC list is holding. So the moment we are querying, the moment we are using a for loop from account ACC, then it is this loop is running one by one through ACC list, and then it is adding to ACC ID. That means ACC dot ID is taken by the ACC list, and then using this dot add function, we are using it on the ACC ID, and then it is getting stored in the set. Okay, I hope if that is clear to you. So this ACC ID is the set that we are using here, and then we are adding ACC IDs for each of from this particular list, which is having currently 4 records. Okay, so we will do the same thing. We will be using the statement over here. Okay, and just leave this out, and this ACC list will not be used because this is the new instance that we're using, this one. So ACC ID will be used over here, and I think that is pretty much on this particular thing. If I save this and try to run, I hope we would be able to see only the IDs and not the names. Okay, let's do the execute anonymous and the same thing, Apollo test and stand method. We'll try to execute and see what is the value that we're getting. If you use debug log, yes, so the values are 1 2 3 4. So we have received all the different IDs of the account that we have. So this makes much clear. Okay, even if they are having the same name, it really doesn't matter to us because we are having unique IDs. So this is the small example of how you can create a list and create the instance of the list, and then use the query to bring out the values and store it in the ACC list, and then use a for loop so that we can go one by one through each ID and name, and then use the ID into a different instance and then add it to the set. So the set is able to give us the unique IDs. So this is pretty easy. If you have any questions, you can always pin down that in the comment section. I will be eagerly waiting for your responses. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and just promote it and help other people to understand if they're having problem in understanding these basic things. Because at a serious level, when you're working at a project level with client, you would be needing all these basic understanding of code if you aspire to be a coder in life. So these are very basic things, and I think I've tried to explain you at a very finest way possible. Let me know if you still have any questions. I will be definitely helping you out. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.